Hey there, folks, and welcome to another episode of Crit Hit Interviews. I'm Arlyeon,
I'm Jack.
and we are here today with Dave Mervik of Tarsier Studios,
Oh,
whom some of you folks may recognize as the studio responsible for Little Nightmares and the Static Institute of Retention. I think that was a pretty good summary of some of the things you've been working on in past, yeah?
yeah, that was nicely done.
Awesome
We
sauce.
did we did also work with like Little Big Planet in the past and stuff, but yeah, these are our original games that we've kind of moved into now.
So, normally I don't really kick off the interviews with community questions, but we have a number of them from both our Discord community as well as the Little Nightmares community. For instance, Jitteryton just wanted to know how you folks are doing.
Very well, thank you. How are you, Jittery Tin? I guess you can get back to me on that one.
Yeah, leave a response in the comments, I guess, and we'll put it forward.
Yeah, we'll pass it on.
I'll be waiting.
So, with the first one out of the way, what is your favorite game?
Ever played Slaps?
And I've never heard of that.
Maybe it's got a different name in the US.
I
You know when
never-
you put your hands together like you're praying and you touch it to your opponent and you have to slap each other.
Wait,
Oh
Never
yeah,
played that
yeah,
game.
that's like
Oh,
a
man,
reflex
that's-
game.
Yeah, that's a game and a half. That one. It's tense. I've never been more tense than when I'm playing slaps with a skilled opponent. Need to know
Yeah.
about game design and tension design. That's everything basically that went into Little Nightmares came from slaps.
Well, I
heard
mean,
it here
it's kind of
first.
tense because it's like the one who wins kind of has the better brain because you got better reflexes and everything. So there's a lot on the line.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of like messing with people as well because you only really fail if you go for someone and you miss them, but you can pretend to go for someone.
Oh yeah, I gotta put the
It's like
mind games in there.
exactly, it's like poker. That's if you're just saying game, any kind of game in the whole world of games, slaps wins every time.
that
Maybe
is the
maybe we
one
could make a
answer
computer
I
game of
never
slaps.
expected. Oh my god.
Yeah, VR slaps.
You know, you might actually be onto something there, because I don't think it
Telling
exists
you,
yet.
telling you.
Probably.
Yeah, let's
Yet.
design that game right now. No more
Yeah.
questions.
Are there any games you're diving into of late? Just indie, tabletop, or otherwise?
All right, outside of the slaps world, and I guess video games, I'm actually on catch up because I haven't had much money for a lot of years now. So it's things like Breath of the Wild. I had been dying to play for a long time, and I finally got around to playing that. I thought it was amazing until I got bored with the freedom. So it's actually not my favorite anymore. Yeah, I played Mario Odyssey as well, which is another play catch up. I thought that was yeah, I think it was fantastic. It felt like everyone kind of just stopped really things holding together and just having the best ideas they possibly could. Have you guys played Super Mario Odyssey?
I actually do not have any new consoles.
What do you
So-
class as a new console? Where did you draw the line?
I stopped getting, like, okay, so the last Nintendo console that I have personally owned was an N64. The last
Nice.
the
For
last
me, it was a Wii.
the last PS console I owned, I still technically have, albeit now it's my fiance's, and that is a PS3.
Okay, you're a little bit more up to date then.
It doesn't let you play a lot of the stuff I was really hyped for. Christ. But yeah,
What else I have just finished playing was Steam World Dig 2, which I thoroughly loved by by a company here in Gothenburg, not too far from Malmö, and that's a really nice game if you've not played that one.
I own SteamWorld Heist, and I think SteamWorld Dig 2 is either on my wish list or in my Steam lib. I have a really massive Steam library that's a combination of like
Everyone
review
does.
games and also stuff because Steam sales.
SteamWorld Dig 2 was I thoroughly enjoyed it, and then at the end I got really annoyed because they just felt like they just tacked on a boss fight. I don't know why. I hate boss fights anyway, but this is just sort of like it's nothing to do with bosses or boss fights anywhere. And then suddenly I just had to do some really irritating boss fight at the end. So, but apart from that, I think it was really fun.
Okay, well, in that case, what got you into game development?
But I mean, if you want me to be honest, it was a lack of better ideas.
It's just like, I can do this. I might as well.
It was. I have never planned anything in my life. You see, when I've tried to plan things, it's not really worked out. So, I did English literature at college and creative writing. I wasn't thinking of a career, so I came out of that little bubble of unreality, and I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, I've got to get a job." And luckily, my brother was working. Well, there's a now defunct studio in Manchester called Warthog, who made Starlancer, if you can go that far back, and a whole bunch of rally games. So he got me some work as a QA there. I joined for 2 weeks work experience and I was there for about 3.5 years. So that was it. Then I was hooked. I hadn't realised you could do that sort of thing as a job. So
it really just kind of fell into it.
Yeah, totally. Just kind of. It sounds kind of airy-fairy, but I'm a big believer in just going with the flow of things like that, and it just was the way things went for me. And there I went to Traveller's Tales, worked on a bunch of Lego games, and from there I came to Tarsier, and we decided to move to Sweden. So it's been just kind of like, yeah, that happened next, and then I ended up in like, well, it's my favorite job I've ever had. So yeah, and that was zero planning any of it. So yeah, I'll keep going that way.
Awesome.
So, what sort of skills has game development required you to put to use, and where did you develop them?
I mean, with QA, it was you start off by watching how other people do it, because I mean, now I talk to it's like our QA people, and they're like, and they have reasons and all this sort of thing, like formulas, and it's very kind of orchestrated. There's like some sort of thinking behind what they're doing and why. But back then it was like there was just a whole bunch of experienced people who knew in every single way you could, and so you would learn from them. It was that simple. You sort of like watch what they're doing, watch how they try, and you copy them, and it's just getting to know the game. You play the game every day, day in, day out, and you understand it and how it can kind of how it can break. So QA, it was about that. It was just and learning patience, I think, as well, was a big part of QA.
I'm very familiar with the finding out how things can break thing, because it became a running gag of like me breaking most of the games we ended up streaming or recording back in the day.
I think my proudest moment was when our off time back then. I was heavily into Wipeout 2097, which I still don't think has been beaten. And I crashed that game because I played this one lap just too well, and it stuck in the track. I mean, that's my excuse. That's what I'm saying. I was too good at that game, and it just we can't compute how perfect that corner was taken. Other than that, I mean, design again. I think when I moved over to they were like a subsidiary of Traveller's Tales. It was, again, you just kind of learn from people with more experience than you, which I think is always had like a formal education and stuff like this. You're always best just going to people who do it better than you and learning from them until you're kind of good enough to express yourself. With design as well, and with writing, it's been slightly different because I've been doing that since I was. I think it's just the only thing I've ever enjoyed and the only thing I was ever really good at. So I was just lucky enough really to get a chance when I joined Tarsier to write the Big Planet Vita. So yeah, I mean, in terms of skills that's developed, it's just really, you kind of see it. I was kind of happy, but I was also really embarrassed about the stuff that I'd done really badly. So you just kind of use that going forwards, and the next time you get a chance, you do it better. You don't make the same mistakes. It's better to make new mistakes.
Fair. So I was going to ask about like where you refined your writing and storytelling abilities, since I believe you'd mentioned you had a hand in the lore for Little Nightmares, but it also sort of sounds like you partially just addressed that, unless you had anything else you wanted to add on to that to elaborate or clarify on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was involved. There was a small group of us involved with actually creating the concept that was Hunker before it became Little Nightmares. I was one of those people. But then I think once that was kind of established, what the concept was and the premise, then yeah, there's no dialogue in it really, so it's not the visual and audio directed. So there's no way I'm just going to stand over people's shoulders and sort of say, now you tell the story this way, because they know more about art and audio than I do. So what they're aiming for, then they're going to do it the best that that we can in this studio. So my work moved over to lore for that game. So basically, the game that we created kind of had consistent logic, and that these characters had kind of a reason for the way they were, and we weren't just kind of going, oh, this is gross, that's enough. It had to be kind of, well, why are we doing this? What point are we? So yeah, it was giving everything kind of a. So there's a whole world that has been drawn up for that one game. So yeah, it was very nice.
So do you prefer like the kind of lore and world building type writing, or do you like more of a traditional story as far as writing them goes?
Yeah, I mean it depends. I think it's always got to suit the game really. Like Static, our other IP was a bit more traditional. I wouldn't say it was traditional still, but there was a character talking, and stuff like that. So, but that suited that game, what we wanted to achieve with that game. But I would never put my own preferences ahead of what the game needs, and I think everyone here would agree with me on that. Like, the game always comes first for us.
Fair enough.
Otherwise, you'll fuck it up. If it becomes about your own ego, like I want to draw this, or I want to make this music, or whatever, whatever your skill is, own it straight away. So we always have to think, why are we making this game? How can I do that with what I can do? So that's I mean, there's things I like to write, but I like to write like detective noir, but that's sort of like putting your slippers on. I'm not going to do that with every game that we make, because again, it'd ruin everything, wouldn't it?
That's true. It makes sense.
The Chandler-esque narratorial voice in Little Nightmares just doesn't quite fit.
I'm picturing Six with like a smoky detective's voice right now, though.
Yeah, I put on my yellow raincoat, stepped out into the maw.
Actually, that might work. Now I'll say it out loud.
Do you have any fun game development related stories?
Nope. Just no.
Oh, well, it's interesting.
I know
Okay.
you were expecting more there.
I mean, it's entirely fine. We've had some people who are like, just nah. We also had one guy who explained like being at a beach party with other devs and watching one guy get super hammered and just slow walk into the waves. Which I'm like, okay, it's less fun. Well, it's fun, but it's also really weird. But
I mean, joking aside, there's loads I could tell you. I mean, I think people expect it to be really wacky, and maybe some places are, but I wouldn't want to work at them, because I don't know. I just, the thing I find most fun about working here is cool, talented people who are down to earth. Best I can imagine coming into work every day is that there's people who are just interesting to be around. So we don't have people who kind of eat as many cakes as you can in 10 minutes, because what are you doing? I think if we started talking about like things that we did Yeah, do you know what? I've got loads of stories I could tell you, but probably not that I should share.
Fair.
Cool people I work with, it's fun.
I mean, you're already sort of touching on this a bit, so could you provide a bit of just insight as to how it's like to work within the team that's Tarsier? Tarsier? Sort of we're more or less curious, just like how you became a part of Tarsier exactly, but also just what it's like to work within that team.
I mean, I found Sasha on Wikipedia. I mean, my wife's Swedish, so like, you know, she was always wanting to come back here when we lived in England for so long. But I was like, I don't know what there is in Sweden or Malmo or whatever. So I just went onto Wikipedia, and there was just a whole list of companies I never wanted to work for and didn't want to make those kind of games. And then I saw this Tasha who had tried to make a game called City Metronome. So I looked at that and wrote to them. Really good talk. We just talked about games and the kind of games we wanted to make. And it was a long process. I think I talked to Peter Lubeck, who's not here anymore. But I talked to him over like a 6-month period, and yeah, I don't know. It's I've never stayed anywhere more than like 3.5 years, and I've been here for nearly 8.5 years now. And I think it's just because it's a place that keeps pushing you forward. You don't ever feel like you can sit back and you've done enough, because it's always about pushing yourselves to do more, to make the next game better and all this. I don't know. Again, I think like I touched on before with the fun stories thing, it's not like we don't walk around being creative, you know, saying creative things to each other. Shit, abuse, you know, abuse each other or abuse each other's lunch or whatever, or the clothes you might be wearing that day or whatever. Just a friendly atmosphere, and you bullshit with each other. All in that way, I think. Well, normal for me, I guess. So yeah, I mean, you know, people have been hired for a reason, so you just know that you're kind of gonna good discussion, whatever you're working on. There's going to be people who say something that you never would have thought of yourself, and I can't imagine anything better than that.
Works, and I now know that apparently checking out Wikipedia is a good thing for trying to find game-related resources in the area.
Hear that, kids? Next time your teacher tells you don't use Wikipedia, tell them this.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I suppose other than that, just practice we tend to make is asking game devs like any tips or practices they may have in dealing with game dev related stress, because the job can be stressful.
Oh, I see, right. Again, it's different for different people, really. Some people can't switch off. And I think especially here, because people who really aren't happy with where they are, they want to, you know, there's that need to do better. But the downside of that can be, it can be people who would never feel that it's good enough, you know, and switch off. Just say this will have to do, because otherwise I'm gonna collapse. So yeah, you burn out and stuff, and I think, you know, the way I deal with it, and a bunch of us deal with it, is do other things, nothing related. You know, the problem is like when you're in games, you're generally a games nut as well. So it used to be that's what you did for your fun. You go home and play games or whatever. I can't do that. I have to do anything else. So like go climbing at lunch times, or, you know, I'll work out. I live in the woods now, so I work outdoors, or paint miniatures for my board games. Anything that's not really writing related or related to my job. But I think that's the only way to. Everyone has different ways to cope, but I just try and just do something else. It can be creative stuff that you do, or it can be mindless stuff, just sort of like I say, like manual labor. I am currently moving place to the other, and that's just perfect for me, because it's just complete mind empty stuff.
So you never have like an extreme slaps tournament where you line up like 100 people?
You know, I've never thought of that. We should totally do that. Extreme slaps. Is that with like a spiked glove or something?
Oh yeah.
Bloodsport, where they kind of had like broken glass on the bandages. Or was that in Kickboxer? It was one of those awful Van Damme movies.
I think that was Bloodsport.
Was it Eminem's?
Wrong.
Oh, that was Hot Shots, wasn't
It
it?
would have been Van Damme's in Bloodsport, I think. That sounds familiar. Because I know what you're talking about. I'm
Definitely
like,
Van
I
Damme. I just
saw
can't
that
remember which one.
years ago.
Still amazing.
Be a wonderful time for relieving stress.
Watch
So-
Van Damme movies. See how much of the script you can actually like say before it happens, because that's what I did for the Street Fighter movie.
Oh no, that's fun to do, but always horrible to listen to. So, getting more into the game, I feel like most people would be familiar with Little Nightmares, but for the people who have found out about it just from this video, could you give us a quick summary of it?
Yeah. Well, in very, very short, it's a game about a world that hates people. Where it all came from. It's, yeah, I mean, to summarize it, you're a young kid called Six. He wears a yellow raincoat, as we've established from my excellent Chandler-esque. And she never says a word. She's trapped in a horrible place called the Moor, and she's trying to survive the horrible things that are trapped in there with her. But yeah, that's about as short as I can make it. But yeah, it's
Well, it works. That's nice and short and sweet. So in that,
it's not sweet.
It's definitely sweet.
Yeah,
So
short
she's trying
and
to escape.
sweet.
She wouldn't, because I mean, I was thinking, Yellow Raincoat versus the Red Raincoat Killer, but I'm guessing that wouldn't be a very good match.
I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe that could be like a future installment. We just like have a full-on Thunderdome
Yeah,
scenario.
I'm sure there would be some fighting game that would accept both of those characters. And all our moves will be about running and hiding, but.
I mean, way back when we were talking about it, our art director was sort of saying, however bleak, there's some magic happens when you drop a kid into that mix. There's just enough charm that balances it out, and I think that really became like the core of how Little Nightmares felt. And when there's a kid surrounded by this stuff, it feels different than if you had this
Grizzled man, I got a troubled past and a huge gun.
He would just shoot these monsters that he's seeing, but there's something about a kid that's like in this world that she doesn't belong in, that really hates her, hates children. There's lots to kind of draw from that, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit unsettling.
You're right, man.
So, how did Little Nightmares come to be? Like, this world that just hates you.
Look around.
Wow.
I mean, it's from the very beginning of the company, really. This is before I was here, even. It's always been there, this desire to make a game like Little Nightmares. I think like the prototype, which I imagine that people from the very beginning are sick of hearing about now, because it's obviously a prototype that was never made, and everyone asks why and blah blah blah. Drew so many of us to the company because you could see this vision and the ambition to do something unusual. But there was this break between what that prototype kind of promised, and then when we went back to that, there was this period in the middle where we were working with Media Molecule and Sony on the LVP games, and Tearaway Unfolded and Ragdoll Kung Fu and all this. This is where everyone kind of got their experience, but you could never get away from that kind of yearning to kind of express ourselves, and that's when we started talking about what became Hunger, and when we got funding from I think it was Nordic Game and Creative Europe. Expected, by the way, we weren't really ready for that. We just kind of applied for this funding, and if we got that, we could kind of maybe do more, and then we got it, and it meant that we could make like the Hunger teaser, and try and woo a publisher. we successfully wooed Bandai. So that's really how it came to be. I mean, they were on board. They bought into what we were wanting to do, and yeah, they were a fantastic partner for us. They were really kind of the ambition of the game, and we had a really good partnership. So that's where it came from, really. I mean, and loads of other places as well, but that's the short version.
Okay, so it started out as Hunger, and that's what kind of got you guys funded. But did the Miami Mutilator wants to know?
Yeah, which I love that because it's a Hotline Miami reference. Hotline Miami.
I'm glad you told me that because that was quite a terrifying name otherwise.
Oh yeah, no,
I mean,
no.
Are we in Dexter territory here?
I mean, the character is pretty accurately Dexter territory, just crappier somehow.
Okay.
What survived between it transitioning to the real game of Little Nightmares? What are the major differences between Hunger and Little Nightmares?
I mean, the major difference really is that Hunger was a concept. It was just the name of a concept, and it's one that, as with every concept, it evolves over the course of a project. So it's like any idea. You're selling an idea to people. You're selling like the big brush strokes to give them a feeling or some kind of mental image, and then you all get it. That's when you start figuring out the smaller details. Is how do we turn this big idea into something that's substantial, that we could call a game. And that's basically the difference is when we figured out those smaller details, that was what Nightmares.
Okay.
I'm trying not to giggle whenever you say like the smaller details, just because the name of the game.
The littler nightmarish details.
But yes, so was there anything that influenced the artistic style used for the game? Other than like horror show.
I mean, there's thousands and thousands of things that kind of were like processed, if you like, by the minds of the art team, and that's the art style that you see. It's like, to me, it's like a question that we get a lot because it's an amazing art style. You know, it's the thing that really stands out about the game. But it's like saying, why do you talk the way you do, or why do you act the way you do? You can't kind of say, oh, it's because of this person. Plethora of influences. But those influences is like, it will differ from person to person because your mind is different and the way it affects you is different. So you can just see something out the corner of your eye and it comes out in a piece of work that you do. There's so many things. Yeah, there's some obvious things that, yeah, there's like a shared love for certain animation styles or whatever, but no one would ever go out and say, let's make this animation.
Fair.
This next question is from your boy Radiation. Maybe you know him. He claims to be your boy.
And he's rad. He's rad as fuck.
For sure. So he wants to know, were there any horror elements in the game rooted in fears that the development team had?
No, not like it's not really been based in that. It's like rooted in like primal fears, feelings of dread, things that you can get your teeth into. I'm scared of spiders. It's not what we would base it in. It would be like I'm afraid of decay. I'm afraid of getting old, and I'm afraid of the unknown, or I'm afraid of being restrained, or whatever. Maybe that will manifest itself in some spider-esque or something, but it's not. We have to go to the root cause of everything because everyone needs to kind of express themselves in their own way. That's how we're going to get really interesting shit out of people here. If we say make about spiders, everyone's going to kind of go in the same direction, aren't we? But if you say make a game about being restrained, then you're going to get that's the wild shit. That's what we want to see. So maybe some people are in touch with their feelings of dread or their primal fears, but I think we all kind of just talked a lot on the kind of things that we found interesting for Little Nightmares, and we just all agreed in the end on the way we would go. parasites was a thing that we all we got that shiver when we talked about parasites, because if you look around the world, there's so many really, really disgusting things.
Ugh.
You know what I mean? If you just, I think our most searched for thing at one point was the nematode video on YouTube. A spider and then this endless worm kind of wriggling out of the spider. It was just, I couldn't get my head around it. And it's that sort of stuff that you just kind of look at and then use that to fuel the next thing that you work on.
Oh, is that like the hideous horsehair worm thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
it's like a really, really, really endlessly long worm.
Yep. No.
It's in that spider, but it did, and I can't live with that. It's a feeling that you get when you see that. That's the thing that you want to work with, not the thing itself. Do you know what I mean? Primal fear is the shiver you get when you see that, because there's something really, really deep there that you have to find a way to exist with in this world.
I mean, I also like spiders. They kill mosquitoes, and so
they're cool because I hate flies.
Yeah, you know, love spiders.
Flies fucking suck, man.
Kill flies.
Well, I can't help being scared of spiders.
Nah, I can like totally pick them up and carry them around.
Oh no, I can't do
that. This next question wasn't planned. Do you know any way to like erase your memory of maybe the last few minutes or so?
Do you drink shrimp? Because otherwise, no.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work for me.
So yeah. Other than that, I guess, and off the subject of that video that, oh my god, stuck in my brain now. So myself and Veda, a member of our indie dev Discord and tabletop stuff, both noted and talked about the fact that the penultimate level of like Little Nightmares main game has a sort of vibe to it that seems really reminiscent of Spirited Away. Specifically sort of like near the end of Spirited Away. Was that meant to be an homage? Like when that whole chase is happening? And were there any other shoutouts to bits of media and literature snuggled away in the depths of the game that you may feel would be notable to mention?
I mean, I don't know if it would go as far as homage, but yeah, there's definitely a Japanese influence in the game for sure. And yeah, there's a lot of love for Ghibli and Miyazaki's work here. I mean, you know, good reason. So it's always a tough one to answer that, because you don't want to be kind of disingenuous and sort of say no. I mean, of course, who doesn't put it away or so many of those other. I don't think you just go out to kind of emulate, if you like, or like I said, or like you say, homage it. It was just, sometimes your influences just kind of pour out in ways that you.
I'm not complaining. It basically let me play through like one of my favorite segments of Spirited Away, but like more gross and disconcerting.
As far as other stuff, I don't think so. Is there something that you've seen that you want to ask about? Because maybe you've seen something I haven't even. But
no, it was more like the Spirited Away thing really bounced out to me, and then I was just like, I wonder if I'm missing something else in the face of it because I've like latched on to the one thing so much.
Oh, right, okay. No, I mean, I know in the very beginning as well, went on about Roald Dahl a lot. I mean, I don't think you would call this a Roald Dahl, you know, the finished game, but I think the thing I really latched onto, and I think that really kind of resonated with the team at that time, was like this idea that this is a grotesque world that children have to find a way to live in, and you're not always going to be okay. You know, these kids, ever after, is that this is a very kind of foul world, and you know, I guess there is an element of that in the end, because our Roald Dahl stuff, it is a world that kind of hates children, isn't it? You know, there are always these kind of really monstrous adult figures. Of course, there's some magical and lovely ones as well, but a lot of the drama is created from these despicable adult characters that really, really hate children. And I think, you know, you just kind of took that and ran with that in our own in our own direction. So yeah, like I don't think there's any Roald Dahl or anything, but it was certainly part of our thinking when we were kind of talking about this world and how it could feel, like striking the right kind of tone for it.
The shoe room still bothers me to this day.
Yeah, not like shoes.
Veda also has some more questions. Is there an entire world surrounding this, or is it just kind of a one-time thing? It's talking about the world of Little Nightmares as opposed to
the Maw.
Yeah, like I said before, I think that I had to do it that way because just when I was writing the lore for it, it had to be that this world made sense, if you like. Like the Maw had to make sense outside of the Maw. There had to be a world that the Maw existed in. There had to be a reason that the Maw existed. And so once you start answering that question, what fuels that world? Who's out there and stuff? Anything with it? It might be a one-time thing. So effectively, the answer is yes to both. It might be a one-time thing, but I had to work in a way where it wasn't, if you like. Little Nightmares had to be the strongest part of the strongest thing it could be, and it had to be completely consistent and coherent. So that's why, as well, I have to admit, you know, I wrote a hell of a lot of lore. Once you get on a roll, it's like, oh, hang on, I can do this. It's not strictly necessary for what we're doing, but you know, why not make hay while the sun shines?
Fair.
So yes.
Which, you know, on the subject of lore, we do have another lore question, and it is courtesy of Veda, though I was definitely curious about this after playing the DLC, but what made Six so hungry, while inversely the Runaway didn't have that kind of appetite?
I'm not going to answer that one. Sorry, I don't say that very often. But
damn it,
I think. But the thing with this is that, like, I know a lot of people ask these questions, but I don't know if everyone wants answers to them, because I think it just weakens it. If we just sort of said it's because she forgot to eat before she headed out to the moor, then that's just destroyed it, hasn't it?
Except for the fact that they've eaten a ton all the way throughout them all. Like, over the course of their adventure, they end up eating a lot. So I know it's not just they forgot to go and have a nice little like snack here and there.
Yeah. So yeah, there's lots to talk about there, then, isn't there?
That is just symbology.
I know, but you don't want me to answer that.
You're either the one that eats or you're eaten, I guess, is probably the life lesson for that.
I mean, yeah. Look, thematically throughout the game, I think it's quite consistent, the kind of things you encounter, and that's something, you know, this game around a theme, or you know, several core themes, and they manifest in many different ways, and that's as far as I'll go with that. I'm afraid. Sorry to suddenly clam up, but I think it's important that, like, we don't just kind of go and this is the reason for this, blah 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 blah. I think we put out there what we wanted to put out there, and that's what we wanted to say on the subject. That's the work that we did.
So kind of more interesting as a mystery and as something you can come up with your own answer for.
Yeah, totally. I think that was one of the things that really drove us from the very beginning, was that, like, we got sick of people being spoon-fed everything. We were becoming more and more insidious in games, having your hand held through every, you know, quote-unquote puzzle that you were faced with. In 10 seconds of walking around the room, maybe try this, maybe go over there and look at this. You were just becoming more and more of a spectator in games, and very, very passive part of it. And why are people doing that with games? Games are about being active. So I need to stop myself. I hate it. I think games are wasting everything that they've got going on in a lot of cases because they're just trying to be movies all the time. So, I mean, a lot of people who bought into Little Nightmares have bought into that motivation as well. It's like they're meeting us in the middle. They're kind of going, all right, you've given us this, we'll give you the rest. We'll tell you what we think's going on. And you just tell people are thirsty for that. They want to be challenged, whether it's like in the game or you're not told what that means other than what you've seen. That's what we've decided to do. And we find it really exciting as developers that we're not just kind of going, right, this story thing needs to be told now, otherwise people will go away not knowing. Like, yeah, well, that's good, isn't it? They'll talk about it with each other instead. So much more fun to be had there then.
There's an entire like Reddit theory crafting thing going on.
Isn't that cool though?
Oh yeah, that's part of where some of these questions are. There's probably at least there's probably going to be at least one more question you veto somewhere in this list.
Oh really? Oh.
Oh, maybe Veta will claim both of those questions. So their next question is: was the yellow raincoat a design choice to make the character more visible, or did it have was there any special meaning about it since no one else has clothes like that in the game?
It's multi-layered reasons for that. I think you've hit it. Yeah, for sure. Visible. But why? Where we got into more interesting discussions because there's loads of ways to make it more visible. We could have just put like a dotted line around her on her coat or what, there's loads of reasons you could do it, but she was very, very, very clearly not part of that world, was she? So yeah. It was a design choice, but I think another thing that we find interesting is like kind of bringing these things together is like not just design choices as design choices. Like let's see if everything can feel coherent together. Why are we going to make her silhouette the way it is? Why is the tone of everything else in the mall to the way she looks? And I think that there's where you can for people without having to kind of, like I say, to have a cutscene going, oh well, belong here, does she? You just look at her and And I think that there's something nice about that. It's out the way, and you can start thinking about more interesting stuff.
Nice, and I think it's fair that since Veta asked so many questions that you would give them way more things to think about. Give them a ton more questions.
So I'm gonna ask this question. I'm half expecting the response, but what's the deal with Shadow 6?
What do you think the deal is?
I mean, I'm not sure if they're actually there or if they're just symbolically there. Because there's arguments for both. That was your answer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh god. That was what I was predicting.
Okay. I know it can feel annoying, particularly in this day and age where everyone gets to know everything. But like you know how it goes sometimes when you find something out, you're like, I wish I didn't find that out. Or maybe what I had in my head was better, or maybe it was different or whatever. But I just think you've seen something and you made your interpretation. Not that we're getting so up our own arse that we're saying we've made a novel of a game or whatever, But I think Lynch, who I just adore, David Lynch, said that when he was talking about his stuff. Is like, well, you don't get to ask the author what they meant. They've given you the book. That's it. You do the rest. And I just find that sort of approach to inspiring. I just think, we made certain decisions and we decided to tell people certain stuff. It's up to them. We just ruin it, I think, if we just answered everything. So yeah, I don't mean to be annoyingly kind of non-answering about this stuff. That's not even a term, non-answering. What? Look that up in the thesaurus.
I think that's okay to be that secretive about it, because that passion to kind of change things up and not make them not so handholdy might just be what drives you to make such a good game that people actually want to know about in the first place.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, we never expected it.
And
we
I
were
think
we were just hoping that people would enjoy it, but there's all these theory videos and websites and stuff now. We're like that. Whoa, it's it's more than we ever expected. So now we're gonna run with it.
it works pretty well with the genre of the game and the tone it's set too. Was I think a big part of it. Which, like, on that note, Little Nightmares doesn't actually like have any dialogue really. So was it always meant to convey its storytelling vis-a-vis like its world and the player's experience?
Yeah, very very early on we decided that it was a hard thing. That, I mean, because I love writing dialogue. It's like, yeah, it's my favorite thing. I don't only write noir dialogue, but I just love it. I love when you get an idea, a character idea in your head, and you figure out how they're going to talk. It's super exciting for me. That Ed early on, we were out having a smoke, and that question came up, like, should we talk here? And I was like, that. No. It's just, you just knew in your heart that it was the absolute wrong thing for this game. It needed to convey it via just see of what the world represents, and like these characters, they tell their own story. And if we suddenly had them saying, I was brought here by blah blah blah, you ruined it straight away. I think it's so much more power in the implied story than anything I ever could have written of my own skills. But I think it's the truth.
What was your hardest challenge you faced when making this game?
I think what I just said, achieving that.
Fair
I think trying to tell a story without words, it was the right decision still, for sure, but it was a new one.
Yeah, it definitely sounds difficult.
Luckily for me, a lot of that burden was on art and audio, so I could just kind of go, well, it was an important thing that we decided that, now you go and achieve it. But still, it was, I think they did an amazing job as well. I think, our audio and art department is just some of the best I've ever worked with, so couldn't have been in better hands, sure.
With that said, is there anything that didn't make it into the game that you really wanted in there, whether that be areas, potential enemies, abilities, lore nuggets?
No, not really, no. I think if stuff doesn't make it, it's for good reason. It might be that it doesn't fit or it doesn't work or whatever, but it's not there for a reason. And you don't mourn stuff like that, because it comes back in different guises, maybe in other projects happened in the past, and it's for the best. You kind of go, hang on, I had something that I always enjoyed, and you bring it back. So yeah, it's like I say, the game at the end was the game we wanted to put out for sure. So it's it goes into your little box marked cool stuff for the future.
Fair.
So this next question is from LOL What Yes Me. That's their name. They wanted to know, going from left to right is a key movement for most of the game to make progression. There are times when you go from right to left, and those are preserved for antagonist areas or times when you get trapped, for example. Was this intentional? Was this an intentional design choice?
No idea.
There we go.
No idea.
Short and sweet.
Perfect.
For all we know, that one is just like, it could have just been coincidence, or, oh well, we don't get to know. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it might be that should I sound more mysterious, going, why do you think we did that then?
Oh yeah, I like that better.
Yeah, all right, I'll do that instead
then. So I snezzed. I love some of these names. They're like so rewarding. Asks, is there any info or updates you have pertaining to the Little Nightmares TV series that was in the pipeline?
Nope. None of that was ever really part of our work. So we just don't know what's going on, or not, as it may be. We're still figuring out how to make games, so we're not even going to consider consider trying to make TV shows as well. This is just cool news when it was announced. But yeah, it's Hollywood business for Hollywood people, I think. So sorry.
No worries.
A glamorous life we don't get to live.
Well, I suppose I'll just ask it is, so in that regards, then you don't have any ideas to like how close it may or may not be sticking to the roots of its game sibling?
No idea.
Oh
Still.
God. Fearsome.
Oh, well, poor.
Have you got like 50 questions based on the TV show
Two.
now that I've ruined?
We have two.
Okay.
So, rest in
look at
peace, the runaway kid, for your
I was
question.
gonna mess up their name.
Oh, how are you gonna run away? 7 he runaway kid?
7 he runaway kid.
I mean, it is their fault for writing that first part in lead.
Not with a better name.
Also, 6 is hungry and not your game. They're the other two people. We're also sorry we won't get to answer your question here about it because they don't know. Because Hollywood, blame Hollywood.
Hollywood things.
So instead,
Hollywood.
we are going to ask some more questions, but this time about future projects, and they should be stuff you can answer. So, Unacceptable Lemons. Again,
That's a great name.
I know, right? Jason2306 and me too wanted to know if you could let us know, please and thank you, if there's any plans for another game in the Little Nightmares universe, that or just further DLC expansions to the main entry.
Has anyone ever fallen for that question?
Yes. Yes, actually.
Wow. No, I mean, up to for sure. But I mean, there's nothing to talk about. That's also for sure. I mean, the thing that's nice is that people want more, but we've nothing to talk about there. I mean, like I said before, there's like the stuff there, if we wanted to more, but yeah, maybe it's just another one of those things that I have to file in my cool stuff box.
Cool
I think
stuff,
whatever we
maybe
do next,
later.
It'll be like a massive box eventually. But yeah, we always say that whatever we do next is got to be something that we care about as much as we did for both Little Nightmares and Static. Most people know us for Little Nightmares. A lot of people know us for Little Big Planet as well. But the Static we are super proud of as well, and the smaller fan base for that are as loyal and rabid as the Little Nightmares one. So we get a kick out of that we put so much of ourselves into. So yeah, whatever we do next, hopefully it's going to have the same kind of impact on people.
I mean, there's also a crossover between the two fan bases because we do have a Static question in here.
Yes.
But not quite yet, and you probably can't answer this next question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because what kind of interviewers would we be if we didn't grill you for these things you don't want to
Grill away.
So, Buttered Cinnamon Toasty wants to know, will the comics or television shows or games that come next, will they be following different kids, or will they further highlight 6?
What do you think my answer to that is?
I have no idea. You can come up with a creative answer for us and tell us in extreme detail.
Really well. No. Alex, I don't know what's happening with the television show. And I actually don't know what's happening with what the next game that we're making. I think we're having some really interesting talks about some cool ideas at the moment, which is one of my favorite things since I've worked here. Once you get people kind of going, hey, do you know what I thought was cool? Tell me. I want to know. So yeah, that's kind of where we are at the moment. So
alternatively, and this is less towards the content and more stylistically, are there any plans to further explore future games in a style similar to Little Nightmares?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm safe to say yes, because, well, no, I don't know. Similar style to Little Nightmares. We have the same artist here. We have the same audio. I mean, if there's a project comes up that kind of suits a similar style to Little Nightmares, then yes. But then if no, then no. There's things that we're interested in. There's like certain aesthetics, and there's an art style I think that our art team does really well. But like you saw with Static, that had a very different art style. So it's a yes, no, maybe, maybe not kind of answer, I think, for that one. I think, like I said at the very beginning, whatever we do, it's always got to be the game first. So I think if there's a game that excites us, we figure out the best art style for that one, force something on it.
Well, that's a nice answer. It will be the best style that fits the game that it's for.
Yeah, exactly. You said it better than I did. So yeah, you can just if you can do an impression of me, then you can cut yourself in saying that instead.
Shrimp impressions are not necessarily the.
So this next question.
That's what I want to hear. That when this goes out, I want to hear your version of my voice giving a better answer than I did.
Then I'll just be doing probably offensive accent. No one wants to hear.
It's been nothing I've heard before.
So the next question is from It's Just Jord with a 0 for the O.
Oh, and I know that guy.
Well, they wanted to know if there's any chance that Dr. Ingen from Static might offer up a review for Little Nightmares.
Yeah, I love George for that. We saw the thing we did. We did Static Live.
Oh god!
People saw it, but it was super fun. Where it was like a live stream in the world of Static with Dr. Ingen, where people were talking to him. It was a lot of fun. So I think that's a really cool idea. I'd love us to do something like that, but I don't know. Maybe we'd have to pay George money now that he's kind of publicly. Yeah.
Oh, don't worry.
We won't do it just to spite him.
No, we can cut this question out and get rid of him, so there'll be no witnesses or anyone to.
Yeah, dude, cool, man. Yeah, I'll cut you in.
God damn it! This is how we lose subscribers because you kill them, Shrimp.
We profit from their organs.
I mean, true. You have my blessing.
Just Jord. Don't worry about it. Hey.
So, other than that, is there any Little Nightmares merch in the pipelines? Little 6 plushies or gnome plushies specifically? Comics, other things?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm afraid we're not the makers of merch.
Oh god, I just wanted a gnome plushie.
I'm sorry. I'll talk to my plushie guy.
I mean, also what
I can do for you. I think there's people out there making their own. You know.
Also, though, the horrible
maybe they could teach you.
The Tar Leech plushie, because I could just sneak it under someone's pillow and give them nightmares. They're the worst.
Yeah. No, I can't make your dreams come true on that front. I don't know, but maybe people seem to like the idea of a gnome plushie, so maybe that's something that could happen.
Well, speaking of merch, are the comics still ongoing, and is there more to expect from them?
No idea. Again, I'm sorry. I know, but it's like I say, we it's best for us that we just make games, because I think as much as we'd love to have our hand in everything, because it's exciting to be doing loads of different things. So yeah, whatever's going on with the comics is nothing that we know about. So comic fans, but it's not necessarily bad news.
It just means you don't know.
Exactly.
Well, I do have a question here, which you've probably heard before, and which will probably slightly be like, oh my god, this question again. But is City of Metronome a venture that we will one day see, given that it does still appear on your website, or has it been shelved, like, indefinitely?
Does that still appear on our website?
It actually does appear still on the website for Tarsier, which is why this question is here.
I want to have someone killed. For me, this is like an official company response, but I think it's best to leave things in the past. I don't know how you feel about any of these things, but do you remember 1977, the year of our Lord, Star Wars? One what was it, 25 years for the prequels.
Wow, yeah, true.
Do you remember when people wanted a Matrix trilogy? Remember when people wanted a fourth Indiana Jones adventure? Do you remember when people wanted a Blade Runner sequel?
I actually like the Blade Runner sequel.
Here we are. That's been a wonderful interview. And let's just call it there. We're finished. I don't know. But I never liked the original Blade Runner. But I mean, what I'm saying is I think it's like the idea of things, what they should be or what they could be or whatever, what they should have been. You're on a hide into nothing, I think. Whoever knows about Tarsier Metronome has got their idea of what that game could have been. And if we go out to make it, I think it was where we were headed. It was like it signaled the ambition of the studio. It got them involved with Sony and Media Molecule, and it brought a lot of people here. But I just think we should leave it where it is, because Little Nightmares really is where we are now, or it was anyway. It was where we were then, and whatever we make next is going to be. I think if we just go back and make Tarsier Metronome, like I don't know. I just don't think we should do it. Short answer to that question.
I mean, fair. On one hand, I'm like, at least the bar has been set low by people like Duke Nukem Forever. Rest in peace.
But this is the thing, though. I just, it's cool that people want it, but don't they want to see something new? Don't they want to know that we have new ideas, stuff, that we're not just kind of living off these old glories that we never fully had anyway? Right? This is their take on things now. This is the game that they want to make now. They're not just we're not just feeding off this. The only thing we're known for, in the very beginning. For me, I just think it's so much more exciting to go. What are we interested in now? Everyone here has a different idea about what Tarsier Metronome should be. So there's going to be a massive cage fight just to get past that stage. So I just think, keep it new, keep it fresh.
Fair. I actually found out about you guys, ironically, not even through like Little Big Planet, but through Little Nightmares. I only found out about Metronome by like snooping around more about the company. I was like, oh, this is a thing. Yeah, you might want to get that off your website so people don't think you guys still have it on like the back burner.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing that we did, and it's part of the DNA of the company. But yeah, it's not something that we're.
Now that we've reached the tail end of the interview, is there anything you'd care to share with the audience?
Oh, and just to be clear, like, given how a few of these other questions went, this isn't like a sarcastic question though. Oh, is there anything you actually do want to share with the audience? No, we ask this question all the time to give you a chance to plug anything you want to plug or that kind of.
I mean, we also have another question specifically meant for plugging like indie projects, but this is just like anything you want to say, including like I guess you could use it as like a hiring call for people.
We are hiring. Thanks for that poke, actually, because we are hiring seniors in all disciplines. Which, if you're one of our, I don't know how many followers we have on Twitter now. I should do, because I'm supposed to be the one that runs our Twitter, but seniors all over, because like I say, we're thinking of cool stuff to do, and we need cool people to do it with. So if you have skills and you would class them as senior skills, then you can give it a shout. This is getting very boring and corporate now, isn't it? Via our recruitment page, or just give me a shout on Twitter and I'll put you in charge of the right people. I want to tell people that Twin Peaks Season 3 is the best thing ever, and Atlanta is a fantastic series as well. So those two I want to share with the audience as well.
Fair.
Atlanta, and appreciate Twin Peaks Season 3.
I'll one day watch that series.
You won't.
I might. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff from like
you wilted quickly.
There's some stuff I'm currently catching up from the 90s.
Wow.
So I mean, I might. I also still need to finish watching the X-Files.
I tried to watch the X-Files recently. Oof. It's one of those things that people keep telling you, oh, it gets good. It gets good after you've watched 4 seasons of it.
I mean, I liked it. I like it.
Bloody hell, that was painful.
I like it in small bursts.
Yeah. Do you know what the coolest thing about Star Trek, my attempt to watch Star Trek Next Generation was? It was seeing Pamela Adlon from Better Things, who's also fucking brilliant. She's a real hero of mine. She was in an episode of Star Trek Next Generation with Ray Wise from Twin Peaks. And that is like a terrible episode of Star Trek in many terrible episodes of Star Trek. Wait, because it's great. Because it's crap.
I mean, fair. So I guess we've gotten our things shared with the audience. Little bits of pandering towards you guys are hiring. That'd be great. By the way, I am a senior at Breaking Games. I don't know if that's something that's hireable for. It's like QA, but like more disaster prone. I mean, yeah, at this point I have like a couple years of QAing around under my belt.
Ooh.
I just also live in Canada, which might be less helpful.
I mean, it'd be quite a commute, but yeah. Has this whole interview just been your like job application? And you've just been gearing up to ask me that question, like apropos of nothing. By the way, I am a QA.
Yeah. Also, like this is an example of our research skills. Yeah.
Also very persistent. He didn't give up when you were like, you're not going to answer these types of questions.
Yes, yes, we can go to a second interview, I think, with you.
But last question here would be, are there any indie projects that you guys have had your eyes on?
I'm a crap person to ask about that. I can barely keep up with the stuff that's released every 10 minutes. But I have been told by someone I trust here, Oberdin is really worth playing. So I think that's the next thing on my list that I'll be giving some time to, because I loved Papers, Please. So I'm very hopeful that the Oberdin is...
I liked Paper Please as well, but holy shit, I was terrible at that game at first.
Oh, but it's just amazing.
Yeah.
I just love it. I love it. It's bleak. Just a bleak masterpiece.
To this day, I'm still really bad at picking out, like, forged papers. Everything else I can do fine.
How they make you suspicious of everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, one of my favorite things about that game is like how it changes your actual mind. It doesn't tell you anything. It just like, oh, your family are sick. These people are threatening them. So be suspicious of everyone. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's dystopian as fuck, and it does it well, and that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, love it.
Do you have any advice for aspiring game writers or writers?
I always hate people who give advice. I went to GDC last year, and I was just like, my bitter teenage self, because everyone was this advice, and I was particularly that. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to be mean to certain people, but I would just sort of say, stop trying to write movies. If you get into it and you get a chance to write for a game, it's a game. Write movies. I'm sick to death of hearing shitty movie dialogue in every single cut. Even some of the highest quality games out there. Very, very tempted to name names here, but I'm not gonna. I think the dialogue was shite. Shame, because it brings everything down. And what you hear from so many people when they come in and complain about this, like, you told me this was good. Yeah, but it's just a game. The dialogue does not. I don't care. I just skip the cutscenes. Like, yeah, so it's not good then. Why? I mean, someone's taken a lot of time writing this stuff, but it's just crap. Beastmaster is one of my favorite movies from the 80s, but it's not good dialogue. But I'm hearing shades of Mark Singer in some of these games that are doing very well. Yeah. Think about what you're actually writing. And if people are telling you that maybe go this way, maybe try and make it sound more cool. And if you disagree, just tell them, because it's better to have your integrity intact than to just write some shite and be another part of the mass of crap out there as far as game writing goes. Because, I mean, games themselves are trying harder, but the writing, on the most part, I just think is terrible. My advice, don't be terrible.
Perfect advice.
I'm constantly trying myself. I'm not saying I have achieved it, but I'm trying to be better and to be really critical. I don't think it's okay to write B movie dialogue for games just because they're games, or games will never be taken seriously.
Fair.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's a number of games that I like that have really good dialogue, but there's also games that have the train wreckiest dialogue ever, and I am very specific about what I recommend people to games for, and I will outright be like, if you want a good game, for the gameplay, this is it. But the story is a horrible train wreck, or inversely, it'll be like, there's less games really with terrible...
What was it recently?
What
was it called? Firewatch. I really, really enjoyed Firewatch for dialogue.
That game depressed me, man.
Like,
it was a good game. No, like, it was a good game, but the game itself depressed me for, like, where it went.
Yeah, it didn't go where I wanted it to in the end. I think it felt very naturalistic. It didn't feel like it was someone trying to be cool or someone wanting to be in, or, whatever cross when I think about this stuff. But I don't know, it just felt like I was just interested in listening to those people talking. I think it wasn't invasive either because you were able to play. But yeah, it's this. I could probably count on the fingers of one finger how many games I've enjoyed the dialogue of. If you've got some tips, send them my way because I'd like to hear more.
Cultist Simulator has good dialogue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like mostly it's if you're familiar with it, it's the dude who did Fall in London, Alexis Kennedy.
Okay.
It's solid. I may or may not be addicted to that game. Anyways, I'm gonna stop gushing about that to actually move on to the proper outro. Anyways, so if you folks like the look of this game, or overall have just enjoyed this interview, you can buy and wishlist Little Nightmares on Steam. For the news, there's @Tarsier on Twitter. Plus, they also have a specific website that you can check out with links to it in the description, because I'm not reading it out, though it is actually just tarsier.se. Is there anywhere else you'd care to send people?
No.
Fair, that keeps this simple. Okay, so I'd also like to offer a big thanks to all the folks in the Crit Hit Cauldron Discord, as well as the Little Nightmares Reddit. All of your contributions were great, and, if you want to know who we will be interviewing in advance, you might want to actually join our Discord. It helps so we can, send them questions, because...
Yeah, wouldn't it be great if you could actually get your question answered? Go join the Discord, guys.
Also, I'd just like to say a really big thanks to you, Dave, for actually showing up on the show today, providing us the time, and being so patient with all of our questions, both good and bad.
Hey, no worries. Thanks for even giving a shit about what we're doing. It's nice for us.
I mean, I really liked Little Nightmares. It was good. It was really good.
Cool.
And I felt a little bad that I put off playing it for so long, 'cause goddamn how lengthy my Steam list is.
It's a common problem.
With all that said and done, for those folks who are watching, if you did enjoy this, feel free to leave a comment down in the description and, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more developer interviews or some of our indie game reviews or the tabletop stuff that's going to be happening in the future, feel free to hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon so you can get alerts in the future. And other than that, I hope to catch you folks later, and yeah, do take care till the next time.